Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and this time we're up against Al. Alright, at the bottom here, I'm playing as a Rhino Specialist. My opponent is playing as a Fire Badger Specialist, and this is at around 2100 MMR. One thing to note is that I am playing the new casual mode. I want to see what it does, and I also want to try some funky strategies without fearing of losing MMR. L is a very strong player. I've played him many times before. I think we're pretty much even on the win rates against each other. He is a Fire Badger specialist, which means we should expect some type of Fire Badger shenanigans in the corner, possibly at round 2, because that's when you actually have the extra money to buy them. All right, to start off, I do have the Mustangs and Crawlers. I want to make sure that I utilize this Changa cannon as much as I can. This cannon for round 1 is actually pretty good against both the Hounds and the Sabertooth. So we want to make sure we keep this cannon alive as much as we can. We're going to move the units back a little bit. Hopefully the Crawlers will actually provide some protection against this gun, or this gun. Alright, looks like it is. Alright, now the gun is firing at the right targets. Fantastic. Now for round 1, I like to pair Void Eyes with Mustangs and Crawlers. It's just that they're one of the highest HP sort of medium-sized units, if you can count them as medium-sized units, for 100 supply. They're better than Hounds, they pack a punch, they're great into sledgehammers, and they provide excellent cover for the Mustangs. I also had the opportunity to go round 1 Rhino, but I just looking at this board here, I don't want my Rhino to go into the Chunga cannon range. Alright, round 2, we have many options. I think redeployment is probably the most flexible of all. Berserk Rhino is actually pretty interesting card, considering if I'm already expecting some sort of flank play, I might just counterflank my opponent. So having Berserk Rhino might be good. But the redeployment is just a sweet card, especially when you're headbutting at the same side. There's just so much area on the other side that you can do things to. Alright, so at round 2, I've decided to go with a squad of wasps and an extra Void Eye. Just hold my front line and wait until I get towered. And to nobody's surprise, we see Fire Badger flank, and this is pretty effective. Now looking at his bar, he does not run Scorch Charge. Through my time at the testing server, I feel like the Scorch Charge is like a whole magnitude better than counterfire. I was never able to make counterfire work on the test server. I feel like every time I start commit into the Fire Badgers using the counterfire and range, I just get hard countered by Scorpions. And since Scorpions do one-shot sometimes, or most of the times one-shot Fire Badgers, you get no benefit from the counterfire. So maybe that'll change. Maybe they will tweak it so that counterfire is a bit more useful, but so far I just didn't have any success with it. Scorch, on the other hand, is crazy. Like, it does so much. It is so annoying to deal with. Just a great tag, and just single button click. That's it. You don't even need to get all the other tags. Just a single button click, and then it turns your front line into a frontline destroyer. All right, triple fans. Hard to ignore this. So we're gonna go with the triple fans. I think my opponent's also getting triple fans after seeing the wasp, so that makes sense. I can either pile on this corner, or I can get out of it. Now, seeing how my opponent is already piling on his corner, I feel like, you know what? Why don't we just try to gospel him? And this was like the first thing I wanted to do when the new Fire Badger is like, oh, what if we gospel him with the Scorch? Because I do run Scorch on my bar. I don't run counterfire. I run Scorch. I run fuel maintenance, both of which adds HP, and it's just a lot of burst damage at the front. All right, expecting the fangs, I'm going to move the wasp out of the way there's no real good spot to put them. You can put them down here for defense. You can try to flank on the other side, but the chances are there's going to be fans waiting because it's a triple squad drop. Or I was thinking if all the fans are going to be behind the tower, it's going to take them forever to walk up. Why don't I just put it in the middle, expecting no fans in the middle? I mean, there's no reason for them to get fans. They already have crawlers. You don't need fans here to protect against Void Eyes. So my Wasp is going to get in and get some damage. Alright, Rhino in the corner. Since I am Rhino spec, that was already unlocked. Fantastic against the Fire Badger. At the front, however, things are looking a little bleak. New Sabertooth being added in. I think this was a purchase, not a unit drop. Even though that was one of the unit drops. I think he took the fans? I'm not sure. But if he did purchase... if he did get the unit drop, there should be more than one. So there's only one, so I suspect that might just be a purchase. Alright, we got fans left. We still have Chunga alive, but that's fine. The Mustang should take care of the fans. Alright, so far it's just a game of trickery. I'm just moving my Wasp around, trying to get the best angle. And now we're arriving at round 4. Now, first thing first, we have intensive training. Round 4 gets you a level 2 Rhino, but you know what's better than a level 2 Rhino? A level 3 Rhino. Okay, and since Bear likes giving me all the good cards, I think it's time to start the Gospel. Alright, now, first thing first, I want to distract these Fire Badgers on this Rhino, and I want to distract this Sabertooth on a bunch of Crawlers. And I'm going to start stacking on the Gospel here. My opponent already leveled the tower, so there's no real urgency of getting to that side because it's such a huge distance when I try to Gospel that side, and my opponent can just level this tower to level 5, so all my army has to come in, kill the tower, I'll walk all the way to the other side, at which point my opponent would have destroyed most of my army. I think the Gospel works best when there is in close proximity to your original front line, so that when they get the tower, you have this pincer attack, right? You have army coming in from the bottom, army coming in from the top, and then your opponent's army is right in the middle. That's how I like to play Gospel. Ion was dropped this turn. I didn't pick it. I feel like the training, intensive training was just a little too good on a level 2 Rhino. And I've also decided just the Gospel with Bear Wasps here, expecting only a single squad of fans, and I was right. So, if anything, I should be able to scam a victory out of this round, because all my opponent has is usually 2 squads of fans, maybe 3 if this one survives. Now, unfortunately, my Wasps are distracted, which means they're getting shot at by the fans. And this Rhino, even though it's level 3 and it's glorious, but I don't think it's able to make it all the way to the tower. Level 2 Wasps actually trade very efficiently into the fans. And not to mention we still have Fire Badgers, we still have some other stuff left. And a single Mustang. This should be fine. Not a great victory though, but victory nevertheless. Ooh, and this is good. Getting that extra missile 50, that's pretty good. Alright. We are looking at unit drops here. Wraith is an excellent unit on the flank. Typhoon is another great unit, but I like the Wraith even more. I feel like Typhoon is more susceptible to things on the ground that counters the Rhino. So in this case, the Sabertooth will counter the Rhino, and it will also counter the Typhoons. The Wraith, on the other hand, forces my opponent to either go some sort of heavy hitter in the air, or just ignore them completely. Now, L probably has played against the Gospel many times, so he knows exactly when to where to position his Wraith. Right, you want to be at least 4 squares away from the flank, so that way, when I do click Aerial Specialist, I don't immediately log onto your Wraith. So that's the key, right? So he knows what's up. Taking range immediately. I redeploy my level 3 Rhino all the way to the corner. I expected some type of saber-tooth counter. Yeah, and the saber-tooth was moved over here. Alright. On the flank here, we're still doing okay. This rhino is still holding on, but just barely. Alright, and now this is gone, so counterfire is kicking in. And you can see the counterfire with this laser thing that's on this Fire Badger. This wasn't available in early access, so it's a very nice visual upgrade, so you get to see what that looks like with the counterfire. Alright, we're getting the tower here. And it looks like I might be swinging around. Maybe I can even get this Wraith. We'll see. But right now the walls are being too distracted on these crawlers. And my tower is about to go down. And that's not good because my opponent has level 2 sledges. And this Wraith is just going to mop up everything up here. Yep. Okay, so now we're in full gospel mode. Absorption mod is insane if you put it on a high level rhino, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. With the gospel, I recently took ground spec off in favor of jump drive. Why jump drive? Well, sometimes your gospel just won't work, right? Especially if your opponent knows exactly what to do. But the beauty of having wasps is that they can move, well, his counters, usually the Wraith and the Saber-tooth, or sometimes Mustangs, they can't really move with you. So ground spec, while it's pretty good into like vertical sledges, that kind of clears them out really fast, and also into AA forts, which also, you know, is a counter. I just find it less flexible versus jump drive. Now imagine if you get jump drive and you just use your redeploy and just move your rhino around. Right now, I can still hit this tower. There's nothing wrong with hitting this tower. It's wide open. I can hit the middle. There's no Wraith here. I can get a rhino going down this way, right? So a lot of opportunities to hit different areas. I'm taking armor for this turn because last turn my rhino actually didn't survive in the corner. So we're going to take armor. And now my opponent added the double shot sabers. Very smart of them. We're going to put the rhino behind the crawlers and we're going to mobile beacon them in. So with the healing, I hopefully should be able to recuperate some of the lost health. Now keep in mind, I do not have whirlwind, and that's a problem because I have to hit like individual hounds and they don't really give that much HP. Ooh, Chunga Cannon is going to seal the deal. Oh no, Chunga Cannon got the rhino just before it was about to hit the tower. That is so bad. Alright, we still have stuff going in. We're gonna hit the tower. This rhino is still doing things. We still have like 8 wasps, 7 now. That's shooting at this level 2 weight. With healing, I don't think I can kill. Oh my god, that was so close. Okay, yeah, we got it. We got it. That Wraith would have been a big problem if we let it live. It's going to scale to infinity. Absorption module is probably one of the best items on a Wraith, closely followed by laser sight. So yeah, that was kind of scary. A high level Wraith, I'm talking like level 5 Wraith with the absorption, you cannot kill it with anything except a melter. All right, a very fast card pick. There were some options. There was small unit manufacturing, which I could use to make more rhinos. But in this case, I just wanted to get my rhinos really big. I took jump drive because I realized now there are multiple raids here. And last round, my wasps really weren't doing that well. So we're going to move them out of the way. The other reason I took jump drive this turn specifically was because there was actually an EM as one of the cards. So I expect them to EM this general area and then just kind of mop up. And I didn't want that to happen. So we're going to move things around a little bit. First thing first, we're going to have a hit squad over here. Unfortunately, I misplaced my wasp. I had one wasp at the front. I was expecting it to run into the missile and just die. But unfortunately, I did have range. which means it stopped and shoot, causing me to lose far more wasp than I was originally anticipating. Looking at the front line here, because I lost all my wasps, so I don't really have anything to kill this raid. Good thing I could probably get another saber-tooth. Yep, just doing some damage control here, but overall a really strong round for my opponent. And the scariest part is this raid is now leveling. It's now level 3 with the absorption mod and with a gun. So truly terrifying stuff. Alright, we got unit drop here. I think Raiden is going to be the best pick for me. Typhoon is really good for my opponent if he wants to have another unit that defends against the Wasp. I do not have ground specs, so Typhoon will actually work really well into my Wasps. I wanted to have the Raiden because I needed some sort of EM. The raids are only scary because of the 8-gun and range, mostly the 8-gun tech. So if I can disable it, then my Wasp can just mop them up. Ion is off cooldown. This is an interesting place to put an Ion. I was thinking like where he would put an Ion. Last time he did it in the back flank, but right now since there's only a crawler, so unit probably won't stay there. It's tricky either way because most of my stuff is fast moving, so Ion needs to be very precise in order to hit what they need to hit. All right, we still have a threat here, but I did move some of my units back to support my Raiden. I would really want to take down this level 3 raid, otherwise this is going to be a big problem. And then at the last minute, I was thinking, wait a second. There's nothing in the middle, right? There's protection on the left, there's protection on the right. There's nothing in the middle. Can we do something in the middle? There's no air, like there's no AA right here at all. So what can we do where my wasps are staying as far away from the raids as possible, and then my rhinos are just there to attract all the fire, right? So I just put everything in the middle. And this is one of the joys of playing Jump Drive, is you can do this sort of stuff and it feels really good when it works. And of course, if my opponent puts a couple missile down at the front, I'm toast, but now it did work and it feels pretty good. All right, gets the tower. We have a few wasps shooting at things. I think we're going to get the level 1, but the level 3 is going to heal back, and this feels really bad because, you know, we got him down to really low HP, but now it's just going to shoot at these big rhinos and get his HP back. So not the best feeling. I don't have like 6 wasps left over, so definitely not enough to kill that raid. Very close, but no. No scar. Alright, we're gonna watch them slaughter these 3 rhinos. And I'll get levels. And that's the scary part, right? Level 4 wraith now, 8-gun. Alright, we got another absorption mod. Very tempting. I almost wanted to click that on another rhino. But I feel like we're so late in the game, unless I have another like really high level rhino, which I don't. I have level 3s, which I guess is okay, but this guy's level 5, right? I really needed to have something big. What I wanted to do is just to take redeployment, because that allows me to pull not just the rhino around, but also Son of the Wraith. I feel like this flank is pretty much lost. It's there too. Now we're trading three packs of crawlers and a wraith for 2 crawlers and a wasp, so we're not losing too much over there, right? All right, we're gonna rhino blender this. We're gonna add a single squad of crawlers. They're just there to tank that first double shot from the saber-tooth, and then the rest of the rhino is just gonna go straight to tower. The wraith is at the front because if there's going to be a missile, it's going to hit the wraith instead of the rhinos, and that's fine. All right, we're gonna have some wasp following the rhinos. The Raiden actually did some damage, even though there was an ion beam. And I just need this guy to follow the wraith, this level 4 wraith. If I can disable his tech, I can bring it down. Otherwise, it's very difficult. This missile might hit the wall. And it does. And I hate this. I hate this about the buildings. Like, I want to hit this pack here with the hounds, and it just went straight to the wall. Just a bad feeling. Alright, here's the Rhino blender. It is working. We're getting... Yeah, it's good. We're getting straight to tower. And these rhinos are still alive. And of course, with all these units, the raid is going to be slaughtered. And now everything's just pulls over to the other side. We don't have any air units anymore. So these wasps should do really well, even into the typhoons. The degen beam is kind of good, right? You spend, what, 200 for a degen beam that covers your whole army and just do things. Pretty nice. And we get a missile. that's even better. All right. One more round to go. And if I were my opponent, I'd be really, really scared of this area. All right, I took the deployment module. Probably didn't need that, but it was free. I probably could have gone with the improved fire control system on a single, like my level 6 wasp. This guy's would have been so powerful. What I wanted to do is take that module and we're going to put it on a single rhino, and this rhino is just going to move around. Now my opponent still has a wide open space over here, so I'm going to say put the rhino here, put a wasp here, and then we'll go straight into tower. Okay, what is the defense? I already have EM on the Raidens. I already have degen being on the raids, so the natural defense is to get photon, which counters both. And also the boat adds a pretty decent amount of damage to both the raids and the rhinos. But the problem with the boats, though, especially in this sort of situation where things are kind of forward facing, is that they die very quickly to AA wasps. So I understand the idea, but I think it's a risky play. And he didn't address this corner adequately, which means I am going to get into that corner. All right, looking around the board. All right, so we got photon, and this one instant locks on this raid, which is pretty good. All right, rhino moving in. They did get missiled, but since there's no raid here, my wasp actually doing a lot of damage to everything. The front line is disappearing because we lost the rhinos and now the raids are feeding on this wasp. But here's the thing, right? You get towered and now all of a sudden your AA wasp becomes absolute murderers of air units. And that is that. Now, one takeaway from this game is I personally think jump drive is the better option versus ground spec. One may even argue instead of taking shield, take ground spec. But I like shield. I don't always play gospel with my wasps. Sometimes I use them as chaff, and shield just doubles their HP. I think when you're playing gospel, ground spec gives you a stronger flank, but if your opponent counters that correctly, then you pretty much lose. Jump drive gives you opportunity to get out of that situation and turn a disadvantage into an advantage with something like this, right? Didn't get to play Scorch on the Fire Badgers. Never had an opportunity to because I was giving rates and they performed just as well. But I do believe there is a place for Scorch Fire Badger somewhere in the future. So if you are a gospel player, do experiment with that. I think there's a lot of synergy with Scorch and also with the Rhino. And we'll see what happens, right? But I think Wraith might just be better because if my opponent counters, not just with his own ground chaff, but sometimes you put on a couple wasps to just tank a few shots so that your Wraith can survive a little longer. If I have Wraiths of my own, then they're definitely a little better. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this game. And if you want to see another one, here's one for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.